Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 225 of the Sticks and the Six podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Forbes, as always, here with my co host, Peter Barricchini. And not the most, not exactly what we wanted out of the gold medal game. Let's put it that way.
Fair
But we
enough.
will,
Yep.
we will get into that in just a little bit here. Obviously, us here at the Sticks and the Six podcast are brought to you by the fine folks at the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With players, props, and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. You can look now. Bet you the futures will be up for the MLB as spring training has gotten underway. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code XXX. That's code XXX to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY Connecticut. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required for additional terms and responsible gaming resources. See dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL. All rights are reserved. It's funny, we talk about rights and that, and I had a semi-viral TikTok about the 8 men for Czechia, in that quarterfinal game that got pulled off of TikTok because of I guess the IIHF's rules and regulations and the IOC, and they're very particular about what you can and cannot post. So
They're more, I was about to say, they're more strict when it comes to what you can put out there than the NHL at this
than
point.
anybody, and I've
Yeah,
never seen anything like it.
it's really crazy because I've seen people post content and then they've gotten strikes, everything, their account suspended, and they're like in a panic trying to get everything going again. And it's like, man, don't mess with the IOC. They'll give you those cease and desist letters right away.
That's right. Well, I mean, fortunately, we didn't get any strikes. We got a quick
That's
warning.
good.
Pulled the video
That's good.
down. We're still live over here on TikTok as well. So if you want to check us out on TikTok, you'll get my side of the conversation. You won't get Peter's. That's why you're better off to stick here on YouTube with us. You can join the conversation in the comments as well, here on TikTok, Facebook, even heck LinkedIn. We're on there now. So, anyways. Before we get into the gold medal game, obviously, as I mentioned off the top of the show, a disappointing result for Canadians. How you feeling this week, Peter?
Not gonna lie, it stung. Seeing everything unfold because of how well Canada played, and it's one of those things where as soon as it got to overtime, it could go either way. They're both heavily talented up front with all the firepower on both sides. It was literally do or die, winner take all, and it was going to be a star player that's going to end it. And McDavid had his chances. McKinnon had his earlier on. I will get to my little rant about that later on. But then for the U.S., you had plenty of options. Boldy, Matthews, Jack Hughes ended up ending it with the golden goal himself, and it's kind of like a little bit of revenge. And you know what? I will say this from the Four Nations, but also in general, it was like a nice little moment in terms of it being the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice kind of thing. I will say how it coincided with that. That was really great. And the fact that, and we even tweeted about this, even brought it up to the fact that they brought Goudreau's jersey onto the ice with the kids, everything like that. No matter who you were cheering for, country aside, that was when the hockey community basically came together because everyone is still reeling from him and his brother's passing. That was a nice moment with the kids on the ice too. It was a great game. There was no other way of putting it. It's what you wanted at a best on best, and it was the top two nations going right at it. And I will say this, got a little hesitant, and as soon as it's tied 1-1, obviously when Kilmacar scored, we all jumped up with a sigh of joy because it was getting really dicey. Canada was getting their chances, couldn't find or buy one past Hellebuck. And then in the third period, right when Devon Tays had that open net, missed paddle, or the paddle came down, the Nathan McKinnon extremely rare miss at the side of the net, hitting the post and missing it wide. I knew then and there that was going to come back to haunt them. And obviously, everyone tried. Like, we're not going to put the blame on anybody saying that they didn't try hard enough. I mean, would have wanted a little bit more than just from the top line from everyone else on the roster, but McKinnon was doing his part. McDavid was doing his part. And it sucked in the end, but it's what we always wanted, best on best in a true winner-take-all kind of game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you nailed it. One of the big conversations afterwards with a lot of people that I was talking to was, it was a heck of a game, right? Like 2-1 overtime, like you mentioned, U.S. Canada, the geopolitical underlying headlines that we talked about prior to the game. Obviously, that comes into play, but you can't be disappointed with the overall result. When it's all said and done, it came down to missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. You're playing in a game without your captain in Sidney Crosby. You're playing without, arguably, I would say your 2-3 defenseman in Josh Morrissey.
Yeah.
So I mean, those two guys missing obviously from the lineup that are incredibly important to this team as well. And we all know that Crosby would have gone had he been able to.
Out 4 weeks now, so it was a little bit more severe than we had hoped or what we thought.
And he was, like, we talked about it prior to the game as well. On game day, I believe, they were saying he was 70%. There's absolutely no way that he was 70%. Nah. So, you take all that into consideration. You mentioned Hellebuck making maybe the game-saving stop on Devon Taves in front of the net. McKinnon missing the open net. And you knew right there. Overtime, social media was maybe the most toxic place to be the last couple of weeks, just with criticisms of players in how they chose to celebrate. The Canada versus U.S. idea, the idea that you stole the game from Canada. Like, man, it's
no one stole a game.
Nobody.
I mean, there were some bad calls reffing wise, but no one stole a game.
Yeah. So, in saying that, like, it was important to recognize that the U.S. played a heck of a game as well. They were outplayed. But to decide a game by 3-on-3, it's like in baseball when they go to extra innings in the regular season, they have a guy start on second. It just doesn't make sense, right? And there's a reason why in the playoffs in the NHL they don't play 3-on-3. They don't go to a shootout. It's because you're deciding important games. So all this idea of, like, Canada was okay with it when it happened at Four Nations. Look, at the end of the day, I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. I think it's important to note that, like, this is not something that we want, right? Like, it's important to note that, like, 3-on-3 should not be a way to decide a gold medal game. Period. Case in point. This is exactly why. In saying that, the IHF rules do say that it is 3-on-3. And because of that, Canada did have opportunities. And if you watch on the early part of that overtime, Connor McDavid had 2 1-on-3s where he took the puck in on his own. In my opinion, poor choice. When you have that opportunity, yes, you're as quick as you are. Yes, you might have beat them, but you let up and you try and find those trailing teammates. 1-on-3s, you're not going to get the job done. Secondly, Cale Makar made a bad pinch. And
absolutely.
I think we can all agree that on that winning goal, Cale Makar, he knew it too. Right away, you can see it in his face. He made a bad pinch. And, unfortunately, the puck was on the stick for Jack Hughes, and he got the job done, right? And what a story for Jack Hughes, getting clipped, losing teeth. Imagine going back to Tate McRae with that. It's just it's insane. So
I was about to say, getting blood on that gold medal too, like trying to like take a bite out of that too. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy to think about, but good for him for celebrating the way that he did with no chicklets in the front,
Yeah.
and for him to kind of get that job done the way that he did. If it was a Brock Nelson or somebody, we'd be maybe not talking about it the same way we are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the game's not done. That's not a slight on Brock Nelson. I just have less confidence in his shot than say a Jack Hughes. But
Yeah.
at the
I was
end of
about
the
to
day,
say
yeah.
one more to go off your point earlier about like, yeah, it sucks 3-on-3 not getting the result that you wanted, but also at the same time, if Canada had won it, would it still be a talking point for us and being like where USA fans would probably be saying the exact same thing, where maybe they're not a fan of 3-on-3 and the rules are reversed, or if John Cooper with his comments basically saying, don't know the full extent of the exact quote, but clearly maybe he wasn't like a whole fan of it. But at the same time, would we really be saying 3-on-3 is the best way to decide it if we had won? I totally get what you're saying. Maybe you should still do it 4-on-4 where you have a little bit more balance. You still have that open space. But, like you said, the rules are the rules. And also, too, like, I don't mind McDavid going 1-on-3 as much because of how weak the depth was after that as the tournament went on. Because you were basically relying on 3 players, McKinnon, McDavid, and Macklin Celebrini.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
and I even saw like the breakdown of the time on ice. There were only like 5 forwards that actually had more than, I believe, I'm gonna try and pull it up here. Yeah, so basically, Canada only had 4 forwards with 15 minutes or more in ice time. Celebrini, McDavid, McKinnon, and Marner at 17:45. Rest of the roster was below 15 minutes. Like, you're not going to get results with Suzuki, Stone, Marchand, Hagel, Bennett playing less than 12, 13 minutes and expecting results. And I think this is why there is a whole flaw with the roster, and maybe you shouldn't put stock into a 4-team tournament where technically, yeah, it was considered best on best, but for 4 teams. And maybe those said players that I just read off maybe aren't going to be the same as it was this time around, because you know who they could have used in 3-on-3? Bedard, Scheifele, Schaefer, knowing that Morrissey was out. You really think that those guys wouldn't have been, massive additions in that situation had they picked the roster properly? Again, hindsight's 2020, but then again, you were out Braden Point. Again, I felt like a lot of guys were invisible. Hey, like I said, Hagel, Suzuki at times in that game. Jarvis, I really don't understand why he was brought up just to play 7 minutes as a 14th or 13th, 14th forward. Yeah, you realize that the depth was a problem when only you could rely on 4 players, especially in extra time, given how short it was. But it is what it is at this point. You can't change it, and hopefully they learned a lesson for that World Cup of Hockey coming up. Hopefully they take the right guys this time.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Jordan for joining us here on the live.
What's up, Jordan?
For some reason, it's not letting me. A little technical difficulty with commenting back, but anyways, I do want to say, like, I think to the 3-on-3 comment and to the second guessing the roster and all that kind of stuff, like, regardless, we were going to do that, right? Regardless, and vice versa. If the U.S. lost, they would be doing the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what sports fandom is all about, is second guessing every aspect of every aspect of the of the wins or losses or what have you. Like, I saw the comment, should Bedard have been there? Yeah, maybe. Did Canada become a one-dimensional team, like a one-line team near the end of the tournament? 100% they did.
Mm-hmm.
Should the Czechia game have been as close as it was? Probably not. How about the game against Finland? Maybe, but like, the fact is like, all these question marks, we wouldn't have been second guessing a thing probably if they won. Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's the same thing that's going on online. And that's why I said, like, right now, X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it is so toxic is because one, you've got everybody questioning the U.S. players' political views, which is just asinine because, you know, you get a shot to go sit in on anything at Parliament here in Canada, and you're probably going to take it regardless of who you vote for. I do think, you know, if we want to, I don't want to touch on it really, but the reaction to the phone call in the dressing room where he made a joke about inviting the women's team, I think that was ridiculous. I think that more players should have come out prior to the State of the Union discussion and talked about that and said, like, you know, we don't agree with it. Like,
yeah,
you
a lot of players
already
came out with that, especially Jeremy Swayman, saying that they probably did.
They did afterwards, right?
Yeah,
And now that was my thing. Is like, you know, in the moment you're celebrating your gold, you got whatever Cash Patel guzzling beers over here, and you have you know the president of the United States on the phone, you know, congratulating you and inviting you to the White House, and like things are wild. Your reaction is maybe not what it should have been, and I you know the reaction should have been addressed a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
That said, we're not sitting here. We're not trying to make it a political thing, and I don't think it should be. The fact that some players chose to go and some players didn't, that's completely
their choice.
up to them.
Yeah.
It's what you do outside of the game is your individual decision, and people are entitled to agree with it and disagree. Like there's comments going on, but like I don't know if you saw today on Twitter, it was like, who could go after Frank Saravelli and get a response from him? And it was like an ongoing test all day.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just like, you know, that's not what the Olympics is about. That's not what the game of hockey is about. That's not. These guys, let them do their own thing, and you can sit there and criticize it. You're entitled to. That's why we have a podcast, is so we can jump on here and say whatever the hell we want afterwards.
Think the main thing why there's a lot more criticism right now, and I think you're pretty aware of what's going on right now, is basically what's being involved with the president right now. I think the reason that's why it's so magnified, and that's why it kind of sets a little uneasy tone with a lot of people, because it is something that needs to be brought up. And you know, it's again, like you said, we don't want to get too political on this, but at the same time, I could understand why a lot of people are outraged because of what's going on, and especially what continues to come out when the fallout, especially with this potential cover up. So, yeah, I think that's the main reason why throughout this.
I 100% agree. And I am on the side of the criticism. I am on the side of criticizing the reaction to the, you know, I guess I should invite the women or I'll be impeached. Like I'm on the side of criticizing that.
I do like also like Hillary Knight's comment recently that she just came out about that. I do like her comment, and it's very well done.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm not taking away from what's going on and the political picture down south. Like we've talked about before, Peter. None of us are here to have that political conversation. My thing is, you're taking away from the celebration and the victory of these players to criticize what their political views may be. And not one of them is going to come out and tell you what their political views are. You can sit there and guess all you want, but we're spending time taking away from the fact that these guys went out and played an incredible tournament, won a gold medal, and now we're sitting here criticizing their political views. I just think there's something about Auston Matthews and being, you know, the first Mexican descent captain of a hockey team to win a gold medal. And why would he go to the what? Like, who cares? That's up to him. If he wants to go, then let him go. The fact of the matter is, when he comes back to Toronto, he's going to be donning the Toronto Maple Leaf. He chose to sign there. He's an American-born player, and you know, happens to be of Mexican descent. Who cares? That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, it's, you know, let's get off it and congratulate these guys for winning gold and get back to the NHL season. I mean, it is as simple as that. But in saying all that, one of the most polarizing conversations since the gold medal win was actually, sorry, before I get into that, you touched on the Goudreau thing. The reason, you know, I watched that game on the edge of my seat. When Cale Makar scored, I cheered. When they lost, it stung, but I wasn't heartbroken like I would be with the Leafs in the playoffs. And the reason being, is because I had a feeling in the gut of my stomach the entire time that the U.S. was going to win. But outside of that, the storyline of the Goudreaux has come full circle.
Yeah.
And that was more heartwarming than a Team Canada victory, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The idea of Zach Werenski, who has been extremely close with Meredith and all of them, bringing the kids onto the ice. It was John Jr.'s second birthday.
Yeah.
The idea of he was there with us. Like the Goudreaux, his parents weren't even going to go to the Olympics. They had declined the offer to go, and it wasn't until after they came home and they said, John wanted to be there. John wanted to make the Olympic team. He had said to his dad, we got to work harder if I'm going to make this Olympic squad. And the fact that they chose to go, the whole story comes full circle. And to me, that was so heartwarming to see them skate around the ice with his jersey after, see them bring the kids onto the ice after, to see the Goudreaux be a part of that. That was more important to me than a Canada gold. It would have been nice, but yeah, I don't know. But anyways, the most polarizing topic outside of the geopolitical comments that happened after after the gold medal win was the players and their celebrations and how much celebrating they did in Miami.
Yeah,
when they
kind
were
of a
gonna make
little
it back,
excessive.
Yeah, well, when they were going to make it back to their NHL teams, were they going to play in their NHL teams? I wrote a piece that came out this morning about maybe Matthews should sit out at least tonight, maybe even tomorrow, and come back Saturday against the Sens. Call it warm welcome, call it what you want. It wasn't an ideal comment section on that one.
Well, I was even listening to Overdrive too. Like before coming on, they're talking about is Matthews going to be okay to go because of all the celebrating and everything like that? And that's not just for Matthews, but everyone that was on the team too.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's again where the comments with the Gensel going back to Tampa came in, and Andre going back and whatever. So I want to get your take on, one, the celebration that took place in Miami, but two, what you would have done or what you would do with Matthews, because we know now that he's going to be in tonight's game.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into it because you saw the videos online. Some of it was again, little excessive, little cringeworthy at times too. It's just okay, I understand you won a gold medal. It's been a long time. I get celebrating. But man, it kind of felt like one of those Stanley Cup and beyond celebrations. And I get it's a big moment, and who knows when you're going to win another gold medal. But to me, it kind of felt like, given how quick everything was for the turnaround and getting back onto the ice, practicing with your team and everything like that, probably not the best idea to go that hard for a celebration. And in terms of what I would do with Matthews is, I mean, yeah, maybe you would like to sit him out maybe one game just so that he could get back into gear. But then again, he was playing hockey for 2 weeks compared to everybody else. He didn't have any time off, but maybe that celebration is going to kick in at some point, really don't know. Again, I'm not part of the coaching staff. I'm just, like you say, we're just some talking heads on a podcast right now where we could just give our take. I probably wouldn't have dressed them tonight because I think they also have a back-to-back too. They play tomorrow as well.
Tampa, Florida, and then Ottawa. 3 divisional matchups, all must-win games.
Exactly. And what happens right now in these 3 games, I think I did like Matthew's comment about, getting back to focusing on this stretch right now, winning games and trying to right the wrong for this season because of how poor the Maple Leaf season or how inconsistent it has been up until this point. So I think cautiously I would have sat him out, but if he wants to go and he's up to playing, who am I to argue with Auston Matthews, right? So
yeah, so I think it goes back to the same thing we just discussed about speculation. And we know that some of those guys went hard. We watched the videos, but I think some of them probably were just there for the moment as well, right? And for a player like Matthews who hasn't had that big win, like a player like Matthew Tkachuk, you've won 2 cups, you've had those big celebrations. Obviously, just part of the lifestyle for him. For a guy like Matthews who hasn't had that big moment, I think that was important. That was important to have that kind of gel moment with the team. That was important, especially as the captain, to be involved in the celebration. Did it maybe teeter the line of like, man, you guys have to come? Like, it's like drinking on a Sunday night, having to work at 8 a.m. and on a Monday. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like to me. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I've never done that. So I think like that's where I'm like, you know what? For him right now, it's a one-off, right? Give him that opportunity. And as you said, like I was all for, let him sit this game, get him back in for tomorrow against Florida or Saturday against Ottawa. And you get guys like Easton Cowan back in the lineup
they need it. I think they're starting to really screw him over at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now it's getting to a point right now where maybe you want him to try and learn at certain points, but what's going to learn even more is by playing him. That's the best way.
100%. And that's why to me, I was like, okay with sitting Matthews just with the injury history over the last 2 seasons. It was so important to give him a little bit more time to kind of get back. But in saying that, like you, if he says he's rearing to go and he wants to get back out there, and let's be honest, he was hot before the Olympic break.
He was.
Then, hell, get him back out there and let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can be a 40-goal scorer. Let's see if he can push this team into the playoffs. He's got that mojo going right now after a gold medal win. I'm all for seeing what he can do. And, I'm okay with him coming off of what he did, the celebration, and getting back into the lineup. I think it's important to have those camaraderie moments. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and speculate and say he had a 2.6 of whiskey pushed down his throat in Miami, and then he's getting back on a plane flying to Washington just to fly back to Toronto, or Tampa. That's not. I don't think that's the case, right? So I'm not going to sit here and speculate what he did or did not do during that celebration. But I do think it's important for him to get that vibe and that feel of what it's like to win. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson said the same thing. Like, it's good for him to get that feel and get that understanding of what winning feels like, and then bring it back to the dressing room. Like, look at your leadership there. Tavares has never won, right? And then outside of that, your leadership is on the back. Jake McCabe has never won. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has maybe the most experience, having been a part of the Florida Panthers Stanley Cup winning team.
Stolars too, yeah.
And Stolars, right? So that's where your leadership's coming. Now you've got a guy who went to the Olympics and captained Team USA to a gold medal. So I think that's where it's important. I got a comment here on TikTok from the Dancing Obamas. Ghost of Harold Ballard won't allow winning. I'm 54, trust me. You know what? It's funny, the Dancing Obamas, I appreciate the comment. We've had that conversation on this podcast before. I think we've had a conversation about Bruce Boudreau's dad and how he put a curse on him when they traded Bruce Boudreau. So I think they need to bring Bruce back and get him on the bench and
get the good vibes
shake
a little
that out.
bit.
But
yeah,
you're not wrong. Anyways, quick comment here from Jordan as well. Going back to talking about Team Canada, he says Bedard, Scheifele, and one of Chychrun or Schaefer were on
absolutely.
The team
for me. All right, both Chychrun or Schaefer.
Like I said before, we can sit here and second guess the lineup. We can second guess the roster. We've done it before. We did it before the tournament. We all have differing opinions of who should have been on there and who shouldn't have, and who was on the who kind of coasted in the tournament, right? Like, it became a one-line lineup. It became a one-line roster that couldn't get it done, and as soon as Crosby was out of the lineup, it lit a fire for the rest of that game. But you knew that was gonna come back to bite them. So yeah. I mean, I'm not, like I said before, Peter. I'm not disappointed.
No.
It sucks that Canada lost, but I'm also not going to sit here and join in all the craziness that's happening on X about, we stole your game and making AI videos of skating down the ice, fighting a Canadian player and all that BS. The Dancing Obamas jumps in again. Scheifele's my favorite player, and I'm a Jets fan, but his defensive play isn't good enough. So see, there you go. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see enough of Scheifele to look at to understand how poor maybe his defensive play is. So maybe that's a determining factor.
One thing to add to that too, there's still a lot of like heavily defensive presence guys on that team that could still play offense too, that could kind of counteract the lack of defensive ability from Scheifele. I totally agree. There are times where he is probably one of the worst forwards out there. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, when he could put the puck in the net and he could do it in bunches, you really need that.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Anyways, that's really all we had for tonight's episode. Obviously, the Leafs are getting back into it tonight, so we'll have some more Leaf talk on the next episode. We might have a special episode this weekend. We're not 100% on that yet, so stay tuned on all of our socials. Trust me, they're not as toxic as what's going on Twitter right now. So stay tuned to our socials. We'll update you on that. If we have a show, we will schedule it. We'll make an event. You guys can join. We will have a guest on if that's the case. So make sure.
And also, if you are going to join us live too with that guest, feel free to ask questions too. It will be a great interaction, and we could probably build off on a debate or something.
Always, always, always join in the conversation. We love getting questions. We love it. Creates a better episode. We usually take the comments off of YouTube here, but if we're live on TikTok, I'll try my best to see what's going on that side of things as well. Outside of that, Peter, is there anything else you really wanted to talk about?
Not really. Again, not a whole lot to talk about given how there hasn't been a whole lot of hockey talk. I guess right now it's just basically all rumors right now with the whole entire trade deadline coming up, what the Maple Leafs are going to do. Are these 3 games going to change their mind? To be honest, I really think it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of feels like, I don't know if you saw Keith Pelly's comments that I don't have a whole lot of faith and reassurance right now that they should pull like a brash move where if they do win these 3 games, they feel like they're back in it, even though that, and I've mentioned about this too, if they do go into buyer mode, 1, with what assets, and 2, are you just going to buy for the sake of buying to just make the playoffs and lose in the first round possibly? Because I don't see them going on a deep run compared to like last year.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, I don't think I've lost faith yet in Keith Pelly, but I'm losing faith.
Oh, no, not losing faith in Keith Pelly. I'm just saying in the season in general.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talk about like the Leafs still feel like they're a playoff team and Tree Living's got to go out and make a move. But, I don't think there's a lot of teams out there right now that want to make that move with Tree. So I think he's kind of in a tight spot. I know we talked about possibly getting into the conversation about, what's next and the trade deadline, but right now it's all rumor mill. We've talked about McMahon. We've talked about the possibility of an OEL trade. I think OEL wants to stay. I truly believe that McMahon wants to stay. So it'll be interesting. We'll have more either on this weekend episode or next week where we can talk a little bit more as we get closer to the deadline. We're going to be starting to talk draft very, very, very soon as we get closer to that. Obviously, you and I are very, very in touch with all of that. And I do want to shout out, guys. I'm also doing a little fundraiser for the Easter Seals of Ontario for kids with physical disabilities. My goal is to reach 350 by April. I'm at 245 right now. So I've raised $245 for the Easter Seals. If you're interested in donating, please reach out to me via DM, either on X or email or what have you. I will give you the details, and every dollar counts. We do the same thing here at Sticks in the Six, the Princess Margaret Hospital, for every goal that Auston Matthews scores, and we decide to include his goals in the Olympics as well. So for every goal he scores this season, preseason, regular season, Olympics, postseason if he gets there.
I was just about to say a little asterisk right beside the postseason right there.
Yeah. So we will donate $1.50 for every goal that he scores as well. The Princess Margaret Hospital. Everyone's been affected by cancer. There's no better way to give back than to give what we can. And as we mentioned before, every dollar counts. So outside of that, we got exciting times ahead. We're into the home stretch of the NHL season, and I think that's all we got. Some changes coming to the Hockey Podcast Network as well, so we're excited for that. We're going to see what's happening there. So stay tuned. We'll give you whatever details we're able to, and until next week or until this weekend, stay tuned on our socials, and we'll have a lot more to come. But outside of that, go Leafs, go! And we'll talk to you later this week. That's it for Peter and I here on episode 225 of the Sticks and the Six podcast. We'll leave you now with our friend Alex Hobson and his hit 25.